Welcome to the Singer's Guide podcast with me, Tessa. This is the show for ambitious singers who want more than just scales and song practice. We'll talk about the things regular singing lessons don't always have time to cover. Because being a singer is about more than just your voice. It's about confidence, preparation, and all the little skills that make performing effortless. I'm excited to be your guide and your fellow traveller as we explore them all. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Singer's Guide podcast. I'm Tessa, and today I wanted to talk about going to university as a singer and my top tips to help you make the most of your time there. Now, maybe you are not going to university as a singer, maybe you've already been, in which case you can listen to my top tips and tell me if you agree with them or if there's anything that you would add. Now, I have been a singing teacher within university for over 11 years now, which is wild to me. And as the next academic year is about to start, I thought it would be a great time to go through this list. I've compiled this list partly through my over a decade of teaching within universities and higher education, but also because I spent 3 years at university making quite a few mistakes. And so this is a combination of the knowledge of younger Tessa making many foolish mistakes and coming out of university thinking, oh, if only I'd done that. And the university teacher side of me that sees my students and knows the pitfalls. So let's get cracking with this list. And as I say, you can tell me whether you agree or not, if you've already been through it, and if you are about to start a course where singing is a big part of the degree that you're doing, hopefully this will give you some really useful tips. So number 1, communication is key. It's possible or even probable that you'll get loads of emails when you're at university and some of them might not seem relevant, but you need to get into the habit of opening and checking them so that you don't miss anything vital. This is also really great training for the reality of being a musician. Make sure you reply to messages from your tutors, communicate with them if you are running late or you're going to be absent, especially if it's for a one-to-one singing lesson so that they're not waiting to find out whether you're going to show up or not. And if you're struggling with anything, whether that's academically or personally, it's really important, if appropriate, to communicate those needs and difficulties. The tutors, if they are not able to deal with it themselves, are going to be really well placed to signpost you to the services that can help you, such as student wellbeing support or any sort of study skills. This quite often is the first time that students are living away from home or living a life that is not completely dictated by school, and it can be exciting and it can be brilliant, but it also can be overwhelming. So it's really important that you remain in communication with your tutors, lecturers, etc. Number 2, take every opportunity to learn. So you are likely to have lessons on your timetable that are optional or rather non-assessed. And that means that by going, it doesn't necessarily add marks to your overall grade. But that doesn't mean that they're not useful or worthy of your time. Think about them as being additional training opportunities so that you can learn even more. I think some of the most important things I learned whilst I was at university were definitely not in the classes that I had to go to. In particular, take performance opportunities if they are presented to you, whether that's in a workshop or a class setting. Even if you're not as prepared as you would want to be, the feedback that you're going to get is going to be priceless. It is much better to practice performing in that safe environment than have no experience and then go out into the real world of performance. That's going to be a very steep learning curve. So take the performance opportunities that you're given. Number 3, don't avoid your challenge areas. So this kind of links on. I see sometimes people not performing in class because they don't feel like they're ready. But We should always be trying to improve ourselves. There's always going to be things that we enjoy or excel at more than other things. And it's absolutely important to recognize and feel confident in what you do well. But if you're not challenging yourself, then you might not be growing and learning as much as you could be. And university is one of the best places to experiment, to try things out, to make mistakes and learn from them. That's the whole point of university, is to learn. So, for example, if you prefer learning by ear and you can't sight read, challenge yourself to practice sight reading by joining a choir that uses sheet music. If you love reading sheet music and you hate improvising, put yourself in group situations that require you to practice using your ear and composing on the spot. Don't let nerves or your ego stop you from developing. Number 4, search out additional performance opportunities. So I've said, if there are opportunities there for you, absolutely take them. There might be loads of great in-house performance opportunities, but there's nothing better than experiencing what it's like to perform out in the real world. So much of being a singer comes from experience rather than sitting and learning. So search out other avenues to increase your performance opportunities, whether that's open mic nights or jam sessions or local venues that are looking for live music. Look for collaboration and networking opportunities. You could form a band with your peers, your friends. You could record, you could go busking. Any opportunity to develop your performance skills is going to be beneficial, and university is a great time to make the most of them. Number 5, this is to do with your one-to-one singing lessons. So arrive at your singing lessons with a plan and having warmed up. It's possible that your contact time with your singing teacher is going to be limited. If you get one-to-one lessons, they're generally no longer than an hour over like 20 to 24 weeks of the academic year, which is not very long. So it's really important that you arrive with a plan. What have you been working on? What have you been listening to? And what do you want help with from your teacher? Using a practice journal can be helpful. You can make notes in between your lessons as well as during your lessons so that you remember what you've been working on. I got to tell you a really embarrassing story. I found my laptop from my university days, which surprisingly did still switch on, and I found my lesson journals in a folder. So I went in and I had only made one. I had been there for a whole year. I'd only made one practice journal entry. It was very interesting and pretty thorough, and I looked at it and thought, yeah, that I can see how even now those are things that I would like to be working on. I did not use that well enough. I did not use those singing lessons in the way that I now wish I could have done. So make notes in your lessons. It doesn't have to be a physical notebook. You can use technology to create recordings, so you can use your voice notes, you can film a video, you can type it up rather than using a pen, old school, whatever works for you. But I would highly recommend doing that and making sure that you know your goals, whether that's a short-term goal, I want to learn this specific song, or a medium-term or a long-term goal, like eventually I want to be gigging and I need 2 full hours worth of music that I feel comfortable with. And make sure that you communicate those goals to your teacher so that you're both on the same page and you can work together to achieve them. And as I said, if you can, arrive to your lessons warmed up too, because it'll save you a lot of lesson time. If you're not entirely sure how is best to warm up your voice, you can follow me on social media at Tessa Smith Music. I talk about it quite a lot. Or you can join the Singers Practice Hub, which I will put a link for down in the show notes. There's lots of things there about warming up as well as practice. Let's take a moment. We're halfway through my 10 things that are useful to know before you go to university to start your course. And we've got 5 more to go. So a little recap. Number 1, communication is key. Number 2, take every opportunity to learn. Number 3, don't avoid your challenge areas. Number 4, search out additional performance opportunities. Number 5, arrive at your singing lessons with a plan and having warmed up. Okay, let's carry on with number 6. Don't view your peers as competition. Oh, this is so difficult for some people. It's really easy to get into a competitive mindset with other singers on your course. I think it's quite natural, to be honest, but it won't help you in the long run. The thing that you need to be doing is focusing on developing your own artistry, your own voice, and your own confidence. Your teachers and the assessors in your final exams shouldn't be drawing comparisons between different singers, and neither should you. Instead, what I want you to do is recognize that the other singers on your course are probably the best people who can relate to what you're going through. So you could join up and you could practice together, you could make a vocal group. Collaboration is vital as a musician. So if you start making those connections and building those relationships now, when you're a working singer, you'll have people that you can call on to dep, which means that if they are unavailable for a gig that they've booked, they'll call on you and you'll have the same for them. It is a support network. I can't tell you how glad and privileged I feel to have met the people that I met when I was at university. I'm still friends with them. We still perform together. We dep for each other on a regular basis. And I don't think that I would be able to do my job or have the career that I have in performance if I didn't have that support network. So it's really important that you don't view people as competition and instead you create those friendships and connections. Number 7 is about assessment. Oh, this is a topic that I could talk about for hours, but don't worry, I won't. The biggest thing I want to say on this is do not focus on the number that you are given, focus on the feedback. However you feel about it, assessment is a huge part of the university journey because assessments help the universities to know what they're doing well, to be able to market themselves, to know that they're teaching the right stuff or not, and to be able to present you with something at the end of your course. I think that assessment should be able to provide you with clear links between the task that you're being asked to do and the real world situation or ability that you're going to need as a musician. In the real world, you're not often given a mark out of 100 to tell you how good you've done. The feedback that you're given, you did this well, you could work on this better, is going to be much more valuable than having a number with no context. So I want you to really try and focus on the feedback rather than that actual number because it'll tell you so much more than that grade will. Good feedback should always provide you with ways to improve. And if it doesn't, then you can ask for more feedback. You are at a university course where the job is to help you improve. So you're allowed to ask for things that will help you improve. And there is always something to improve on when you're singing. So if you get a good grade, it's important that you don't just sit back and go, well, I got the mark that I wanted to get. I don't need to work anymore. Don't let it keep you stationary. Either in satisfaction or disappointment, it's really important that you continue to learn and grow and develop. Okay, I got a bit excited there. Let's calm myself back down. Let's look at number 8. Learn how to practice, get good at goal setting and prioritizing, and learn about yourself. I feel like number 8 maybe has like 3 or 4 things in it. But there are a few things that will serve you really well, both at university and as a career musician. And those things are learning how to practice in an effective and efficient way, which includes getting good at goal setting and making sure that you use your time effectively, and also being able to prioritize. Because if you can prioritize when you're studying, that's going to really help in your career as a musician. I often see students who struggle to juggle all of the things at once at university, especially when deadline time is coming up. And if you've got lots of assignments due, you'll find that sometimes you stop practicing as much as you would want to. The thing is that the reality of a career in music means that you often have a lot of different projects working alongside each other, running at once. And so you need to get really good at prioritizing and ensuring things don't get dropped or forgotten. And university is a great training ground for that. University is also the best time to learn about yourself and how your brain works and what tendencies you have to get in your own way, or the things that tend to be common barriers like overwhelm or poor time focus, disorganization, those kinds of things. How can you help yourself and learn a level of self-compassion along the way? University is a great time for that. This podcast episode is getting super long, but I've just got 2 short ones to finish up. Thanks for sticking with me. So number 9 is use your tutor's expertise and ask questions. Tutors are there to help. They often have a huge experience in music, having a career in music or teaching, performing. Use them. Ask questions. Be inquisitive, learn all you can. I speak from experience. I love it when singers, students in general, ask me questions and want to find out what it is like to have a career, because I am bursting to tell you. That's why I started a podcast. So use your tutors whilst you're there. They are a really great source of information. And number 10, be mindful of the cost of your education. University is expensive. I am in the UK where the cost of university is capped, but it's a pretty high cap. And I know that there are other countries around the world where it is far more expensive than even here. There's no getting around it. University is pricey, and we need to be mindful of how much the education is costing us so that we make the most of the facilities and opportunities. I don't say this to get you annoyed or fearful about the cost of university. That is a completely separate area. What I'm saying is that you want to make the most out of this investment that you're making in both time and money. I appreciate that some people need to get jobs, and if you need to get a job, try and make sure that it's one that allows for flexibility, especially around exam time. Be really clear with your employer that you take your studies seriously and you will have to prioritize your course. If you're absent from classes, make sure that you catch up. I am by no means saying that you should rob yourself of the fun and adventure that being a student brings. Like, yes, go to gigs, go to parties, go on nights out, do all the things that students should do. I certainly did. I would never be so hypocritical as to say don't do those things, because that was some of the best times. But also make sure that you do the learning so that you don't graduate from a course with regrets and thinking that you could have done so much better if you just focused a little bit more on the learning. I don't want you to feel like the money was wasted or not used in the best way it could have been. So there were my final 5 points. To recap, we had don't view your peers as competition, don't focus on the number, focus on the feedback. That was all about assessment. Number 8 was learn how to practice, get good at goal setting and prioritizing, and learn about yourself. That was a sneaky one that had quite a few points in it. And then our last 2, use your tutor's expertise, ask questions, and also be mindful of the cost of your education. Have an awesome, brilliant, fun-filled time. It truly is a privilege to be able to go to university, but also make sure that you do the thing that you are aiming to do, which is learn as much as you can so that you can have a career within music that is long and fruitful and wonderful. If this podcast episode has been helpful, or you have any friends or family members who are heading off to university to start a course that is music-based, singing-based, please do share this episode with them. And as I am doing with all of the episodes in this first season of the Singer's Guide podcast with me, Tessa, I'm asking, what is something that you wish you'd learned earlier. I mean, that whole list of 10 things are things that I wish I'd learned earlier, but I'm going to collate all of the answers across this first season, and they will feature in the final episode of this season and maybe inspire a whole podcast episode of their own. So please do send me your thoughts and comments. You can do that via my social media at Tessa Smith Music, or by writing a 5-star review. Thank you very much, and popping it in there. If any of these points have got you thinking you'd like to work with me, you can find out how to do that in the show notes below. And there's also information there about the Singers Practice Hub, which I mentioned earlier with regards to warming up and practicing. It is my monthly membership that helps you to consider all the things that we might want to be practicing in singing, not just technique, but also practical things like confidence and stage presence, and also provides resources like practice journals and worksheets. So again, if you want any more of that information, it's down in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next episode, and until then, happy singing. Thanks for tuning in to the Singer's Guide podcast. You'll find all the resources and links from this episode in the show notes. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a fellow singer who'd love it too. And don't forget to connect with me on socials at Tessa Smith Music. Keep singing, keep practicing, and I'll see you next time. Bye!